Omar Khadr by the numbers. I'm Brian Lilly with Rebel.media. By now you've heard the news. Omar Khadr will get an apology and $10.5 million from the Canadian government for how he was treated at the hands of the Americans in Gitmo after he killed one of their medics looking to help him on the battlefield. It's all outrageous. It's all insulting. Khadr supporters will say he was tortured. Well, was he waterboarded? No. Did he have bamboo shoots put under his nails or electric shock therapy? No. He was deprived of sleep for several days, and after some Canadian officials talked to him and shared that information with the Americans, well, for that, Justin Trudeau's willing to make wealthy the poster child for Canada's first family of terrorism. Let's look at Omar Khadr by the numbers to get a sense of what's going on here. Well, first number is 1. That's the number of lives that we know for sure that Omar Khadr took. Young Omar had been on the battlefield with his father for some time before he was injured and captured, so he could have killed many more people, Americans, Canadians, other Allied soldiers. We don't know, but we do know that he took the life of medic and Sergeant First Class Christopher Speer, who was there to tend to the wounded when Omar Khadr threw the grenade that killed Speer. This is something that Khadr has confessed to and admitted to in open court. 1 is also the number of people he injured in Sergeant Lane Morris, Speer's colleague. 1, also the number of widows that Omar Khadr created, leaving Tabitha Speer without her husband. Next number, 2. 2 is the number of children that Khadr left without a father. Taryn and Tanner Speer grew up without their father because of Omar Khadr. Taryn was 3 years old when her father died. Tanner, just 11 months. Any real memories they have of him, they come from photos or home movies because they never knew him. 15, that's the age that Omar Khadr was when he was captured on the battlefield in July 2002. He was injured in a firefight with American forces, and as Speer and others came through to search for survivors and tend to the wounded, Khadr threw that grenade, the one that killed Speer. Now, because he was 15 at the time, just 54 days shy of his 16th birthday, well, Khadr's supporters jump up and down and scream he was a child soldier, and they think that should get him out of jail free. Not quite. Here's the reality. Under international law, it's a war crime to recruit someone under the age of 15. They discourage military service under 18, but many countries, including Canada, allow you to join at 16. Now, as usual, I'm willing to go to the source material while others just run off at the mouth. I want to read out to you from the UN document that outlines all of this. It's the optional protocol to the Convention on the Rights of the Child on the Involvement in Children in Armed Conflict. And the document specifically says it's a war crime to have children under the age of 15 engage in combat. Quote, noting the adoption of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, in particular, the inclusion therein as a war crime of conscripting or enlisting children under the age of 15 or using them to participate actively in hostilities in both international and non-international armed conflict. Now, what does the optional protocol say about those between 15 and 18? It discourages their involvement with statements such as this: state parties shall take all feasible measures to ensure that members of their armed forces who have not attained the age of 18 do not take a direct part in hostilities. But even Canada and the Canadian Armed Forces recruiting website says you can join at 16 or 17. In addition to being a Canadian citizen, it says you should be 17 years of age with parental or guardian consent or older, except regular officer training plan junior applicants who must be 16 years of age or older, or primary reserve applicants who must be 16 years of age while maintaining full-time student status or older. Khadr didn't meet the United Nations definition of a child soldier then. He doesn't meet it now. But he wasn't fighting with the state party either. He wasn't fighting with the National Army. He was with a terrorist group, one that would never recognize such laws or rules to begin with. Let's carry on with Omar Khadr by the numbers. 40. That's the number of years he was sentenced to for his crimes back in 2010. He was expected to serve at least 8 years as part of a plea deal, but was released early, after less than 5 full years, thanks to the bleeding heart judges in Canada's so-called justice system. Next number, 97. That's the number of Canadian soldiers that died as a result of IEDs, or improvised explosive devices. IEDs were the most effective weapon the Taliban and Al-Qaeda deployed against us. We know from documentary footage aired by none other than CBS's 60 Minutes that Omar Khadr helped make these roadside bombs that claim so many lives. Did any Canadians or Allied soldiers die as a result of Khadr's actions? We don't know for sure, but I can tell you that, well, taking up arms against Canada should result in a charge of treason, not an apology from the government. 360,000, that's the amount of money that the government will give to the families of our fallen. I wish that weren't the case, but it's true. Let me read to you directly from the government's benefits page for the military. The death benefit is a one-time tax-free amount of $360,000 paid to a spouse, common law partner, or any dependent children when a CAF member dies in service. Just $360,000. That pales in comparison to the big number for Khadr, $10.5 million. That's an insulting amount, one that Justin Trudeau is willing to fork over, along with an apology issued in our names to Omar Khadr. It's sickening, really, even more sickening when you realize no court has ordered the government to pay the money or give the apology. This is a negotiated settlement. Khadr could lose at court. He could lose at appeal if he wins at court. After years of covering courts right up to the Supreme Court, I can tell you that guessing which way a court ruling is going to go, that is a mug's game. And yes, while the Supreme Court has ruled that Khadr's rights were violated, they didn't say anywhere that he had to be paid $10.5 million. Plenty of people have had their rights violated by the government. Many have won in court. They still don't get $10.5 million. Some are willing to compare this to Meher Arar. He got a settlement for the same amount. Major difference here. Meher Arar has not confessed to, nor been found guilty of being a terrorist, of committing murder on the battlefield in violation of the laws of war. Khadr has. Jean Chrétien had the chance to help Omar Khadr back in 2002, but he didn't because he knew what Khadr was, a little terrorist. Paul Martin took office, saw the same thing. Same with Stephen Harper. 2 Liberal prime ministers, 1 Conservative PM. None of them helped this brat that took up arms against the country of his birth. No PM did that until Justin Trudeau, and now Trudeau is doing voluntarily what no one else would dare do, not even if they were in office today. They're going to make him rich, they will absolve him of his sins, and they will desecrate the sacrifice of our fallen and our veterans from Afghanistan. Shame on Justin Trudeau, and shame on Omar Khadr. If you like the Rebel video you just watched, make sure you never miss another one. Again, click here to subscribe.